Hello, and welcome to Speak Honest. I am your host and certified relationship coach, Jennifer Noble. It has been my passion for over a decade to help women like you heal what's been holding you back from having the relationships you deserve. Are you struggling with a relationship where you can't seem to voice your emotions, needs, and boundaries without having it blow up in your face? Then you have found the right podcast, my friend. Get ready for practical tips, empowering truths, and honest conversations. Now, let's dive in. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Speak Honest. I'm Jen Noble, your relationship coach, and on today's episode, I'm going to be diving into a couple listener questions. And so before I get started, I wanted to let you know where you can ask your questions. Well, the best place to ask those questions is in the Facebook group. You can head over to Facebook and just type in the search engine, Speak Honest, Secure Love and Communication for Women, and it should get you right there. If not, the link is in the show notes. You can just scroll down past the summary of the podcast today, and right there you'll see a little link that says, hey, join our Facebook group. We would love to have you. It's completely free for right now to join and get in and be a part of this community. And the best part about it is you can ask me any questions you want to in there, and if I get a chance to, I'm going to answer them on the podcast here for you. The other option is, if you're interested, you can actually be on this podcast. So if you hear me doing my coaching calls where I walk people through a specific situation that they're struggling with, that could be you. If you would like to schedule a podcast call with me, reach out to me at jennifer@speak-honest.com. Or again, all of these links are in the show notes, or catch me in the Facebook group. Ask me in there, Jen, I want to be on the podcast. I have this specific situation. I really need your help with it. Can you help me? The answer is always yes. Let's get you scheduled in. If you want to just jump on a quick phone call with me first, just to see if we mesh well, that's also okay. Because this is what it's about. It's about helping you. So now let's get on with the episode. All right, so we have our first question that I have in my Facebook group here. And this is really a hard one, meaning when you hear it, I wonder if it'll also kind of make your stomach sink a little bit, because I get that. So she asks, why does my ex get to be happy, but I don't? Oof, that question, right? Just kind of hits me right into the core of my stomach as I hear it, because I've been there. I know what that's like. I know what it's like to look at your ex's socials or to hear from other friends and to think, oh my God, they're doing fine. They're living their best life. They've got a new partner. I'm over here crying about him all the time, drowning my sorrows in my White Claws and my chocolate and my weed and not being able to get on with my life. How come he can get on with his? And this is what I want to talk about. Because this is where we start questioning the stories that we tell ourselves. This is the number one thing. If I could get anyone to listen to me right now, if I could help you with anything, it's why it's the number one thing in my program that we do pretty much before anything else. Learning to question our stories. So where's the story at in this question? So if you hear the question, again, it's why does my ex get to be happy and I don't? Where's the story in that? And let me help you pinpoint this. When we cannot answer that something is 100% true, then it's a story that we're telling ourselves. And those stories are coming from the limited beliefs that we hold within ourselves, our attachment wounds, essentially. So the story in this question is that he is happy. Do we know with 100% certainty that he is happy? No. That is the honest answer. Because we do not actually know what's going on in his mind. Do we? No. So we are telling ourselves a story that he's happy, he's moved on, he's perfectly fine, and here we are, what, sad and alone and chugging White Claws? No, that's not how this works. We are just reinforcing those wounds inside of ourselves by telling ourselves the story of, oh, he's moved on, he's happier without me. And so that's what I want to encourage to this question asker, is to really get her to see, do you know with 100% certainty that he's happy? Because I think we both know the answer is no, you don't know that. So then we're going to dig into the next part of this and we're going to ask ourselves, why am I thinking this? Why do I think that he's happy? What am I making that mean about myself? That's the biggest question we can be asking. So first we have identifying and questioning our story. So, oh, I see this story. Is it 100% true? No. And then we're going to start asking ourselves, what do we make it mean? What do we make it mean about ourselves that he's happy? And another way to kind of ask this question is, what type of a person has an ex who's happy when we're not? Maybe they're weak. Maybe they're hopeless. Maybe they're helpless. Maybe, they'll never get their shit together. Maybe his girlfriend is better than you, which means, I'm not enough. Stuff like that. These are the beliefs that we hold about ourselves, that I'm weak, that I'm helpless, that I'm not enough. And those limited beliefs, they're driving the stories that we're telling ourselves that's hurting ourselves. So this question, I can't answer it. I can't say, why is her ex happy and she's not? Because it's not really a question. It's a statement that's reinforcing the pain of her attachment wounds. And I usually don't play a part of that. Instead, I like to challenge those kind of questions and say, how can we turn this back around and ask the question, why is she not happy? And let's start there. Why are you not happy? So if you're sitting out there and you're ruminating on the fact that your ex looks so happy and has such this good life and you don't, let's forget about the ex for a minute and let's put the focus right back on you and ask yourself, why are you not happy? And how can we get you there? So let's start there. Great. Now let's move on to our next question. And this question asks, how can I stop loving someone who seemingly I meant nothing to, despite what he says? Okay, I'm going to go right back through the list again, and we're going to start with, where is the story here? This question is weighted. Do you hear the question? How can I stop loving someone who seemingly I meant nothing to? There's the story. I meant nothing to him. Okay, let's go on to the next step then. We identified the story. We questioned the story. What's the next step? What do we make it mean? What type of a person meant nothing to their past partner? Maybe just like someone who's not worthy of anyone, someone who's worthless, someone who's unlovable, someone who doesn't mean anything to anyone. That is the limited belief. That's the attachment wound going on inside of this person. So the person who's asking this question, I would ask her back, where else in your life do you feel like you don't mean anything to people? And when was the first time you felt that? Who was it in your childhood that made you feel like you were nothing? Because that's why this belief is coming up. That's why you believe that you meant nothing to him. And you even say, despite what he says. So he's telling you you meant so much to him. And then you're going to sit there and say, but I meant nothing to him. Well, why is that? Why are we telling ourselves these stories? Well, we tell ourselves these stories because we have these deep, ingrained beliefs that were put there from childhood that now make us see the world in a specific way. So let me explain it to you like this. If I were to call you an orange bush, this is how Gabor Mate always explains this. This is where I get it from. If I were to call you an orange bush, what would you do about that? You would just look at me like, Jen, you're weird. I'm not an orange bush. This is weird. But if I say you're fat or you're ugly or your hair looks bad or girl, like you really need to like get your roots touched up, like any of that stuff. If I say that to you and it hurts your feelings, why is that? It's because you already have the belief inside of you that something's wrong with you. Well, if I call you an orange bush, you don't have the belief that you are an orange bush, so you just push it away. That's where I want to get us. I want to get us to a place where we are rewiring our brains in order to not have those beliefs anymore. So that way, when something happens, we don't make it mean something bad about us. It is not that you meant nothing to him. Perhaps what actually was is you meant everything to him and it scared the living shit out of him. And so he had to leave. It was too much. It's about him, not you. So how can you stop loving someone who seemingly you meant nothing to? The first step is in seeing that you meant everything to him. Okay? It's to truly accept his words and to accept that you were a very important part of his life. And then we're going to stop reinforcing the pain inside of ourselves that we mean nothing and that we're not enough and we're unworthy or we're unlovable. because you love him so much. You think about him all the time. You're ruminating about him, not because you actually want him back, but because it's reinforcing these beliefs inside of you that you're not enough. So let's start there. First, we have to dig up those limited beliefs, and we have to really start digging into where are they coming from and how can we start to shift them. Now, I go through all of the how-to in my program. So if this is something that is interesting you, please reach out. Let me know if you want to join the program in September. I would love to have you. But this is the number one way that we can really start to fight off the rumination that we have when we're so in love with someone and they just cannot reciprocate back the way we need them to. That's what we could be doing. Okay, great. Let's do one more quick question. And here's a really great question, which is, how do I get over this mess? I was recently dumped, again, out of the blue. So you can kind of hear in her question here, there's a pattern. When I hear this question, I don't see stories, which is good, right? She's not saying, how do I stop being dumped all over all the time? Why is it that men are always so mean to me, right? That would be a story, which is, okay, men are always mean to me. Let's go ahead and question that story. Instead, she's just asking, I was recently dumped again out of the blue. So it sounds like getting dumped out of the blue is something that happens to her often. So the first step of getting over this mess would be to start identifying this pattern. And where does it come from? What's happening for these relationships to get to the place where you're getting dumped out of the blue? And why is it out of the blue? What's going on there? That phrasing, out of the blue, kind of gets my little senses tingling, and I'd want to dive more into that. Tell me more about out of the blue. How long do these relationships last? What's typically going on? Where were the red flags in the first place? Like, when did you first think, oh, this might happen? And how can we start listening to those red flags again? You know, I did a episode on this recently, and we had a support session all about identifying red flags and how do we look for them in future relationships. This would be the best way to do that, by looking at all of these past relationships where you did get dumped out of the blue and trying to kind of do an audit or kind of like a piecing pattern, maybe like a puzzle piecing together of what happened. And we would go through that together. And that's something that I love doing with my clients, where we really take the time out to just see, okay, what happened? When did this happen? Where did this happen? How often does this happen? Where does it stem from? What are you making it mean about you that you're getting dumped out of the blue again? What are you making it mean that you can't hold on to a relationship? Let's clean up some of those beliefs again. There's stories everywhere that we tell ourselves. Even though there isn't one in this question, I can still kind of see that she's probably going to have some. Because otherwise, what else would you believe about yourself if you're always being dumped? That you're maybe worthless, unlovable, you're never going to get a partner. These are all just limited beliefs. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for listening to the episode with me today. It was so great to get to go through these 3 questions. And again, remember, if you want to ask your questions, jump into our free Facebook group and ask in there. In addition, if you have a question and you're feeling like we really need to go back and forth on this because you have this one big question and you know I ask a lot of questions back and we want to dig deeper, go ahead and jump on the podcast with me. I would love to have you on the podcast. Go ahead and listen to the other coaching calls I've had with other clients on the podcast as well to get a feel for if my coaching style is right for you. That's the most important thing here. Remember, everyone is not for everyone. So I want you to find a coach or a therapist or a friend or a consultant or a mentor or a parent, anyone in your life. You just need someone in your life to be able to hold your hand and help you along. And that can be anyone. I want you to find someone that works with you, matches your vibe, matches your energy. That's the goal here. That's what I want. And if you need help finding someone, let me know. I know a ton of coaches. I would love to help you find help. The goal here is in getting you the help that you need. It's the most important thing. That's what I do. It is my passion. It is my mission to help as many women as possible to learn that they absolutely can get the relationship they deserve. All right. I will talk to you all next week. Take care. As we wrap up today's conversation, always remember that healing is a journey, not a destination. And it is an honor to be a part of your healing journey. If you want to dig deeper into the topics we covered today, be sure to head over to our show notes where you can find all of the valuable information mentioned in today's episode right there. And please remember to rate, review, and subscribe if you enjoyed today's podcast. Your feedback means the world to us and helps others discover our podcast. Until next time, remember to speak up and speak honest.